Hey, and welcome back to Ask an AppSec Engineer. So today's question comes from a slew of people I met at DEF CON last year, 2023. And basically, we were all introducing our jobs. Everybody was at different places in their cybersecurity career. And someone just came up and say, "Hey, Light, do I need to know how to code in order to be an application security engineer?" And to be honest, I get asked this question when people find out that I do application security. That's like the number one thing they ask, in addition to like, "Well, how did you get there?" So to answer that question, I'll just say it helps to know how to code, like a lot. It definitely helps to know how to code. And in my previous video, I answered the question, what programming languages should I know in order to do a source code review? So you can check that link um, in my video or even in the description below if you want to actually see my answer to that. In that video, I basically said that regardless of the language you choose, you need to understand the ins and out of this language and practice with it. It's best to get hands-on experience. This is because in most cases, when you start out, you'll more than likely be working with developers. And it really does help to speak their language. Um, in addition to that, many AppSec engineers were once in the development space. So if you just so happen to into a company who have developers who were once, security engineers who were once developers, like they're gonna know their game a lot. They're gonna know that game a lot because that's where they came from, that's their background, and they just added the security aspect onto it and really immersed themselves in that and applied it to things that they already knew. So if you're competing with people like that, then yeah, it 100% helps. In the past, it probably didn't help that much, mainly because they were just trying to get cybersecurity in. And when I mean the past, I mean like 10 years ago. So I've actually been in cybersecurity for 10 years, going on 11 years. And so, um, yeah, that at the time was a rarity. Like cybersecurity was just like, oh, we need this person anyway. But now it's because it's being groomed out and processes are being made, and people are getting more proficient in their respective uh, fields, and then applying security on it. You're going to have to, in some case at this point in time, know how to code or program. But if you don't, at least understanding the language, and even if you've never built a piece of software in your life, being able to speak to how to build that software in the correct configurations is still an asset and still a skill. Another thing, on top of those AppSec engineers who were once developers, like it's even encouraged that developers who want to be in the cybersecurity space jump into an AppSec role, as opposed to just being that god awful security champion, which I understand the purpose of a security champion, but I don't I think there was more promise in that than was feasible. And if you have a question about what security champion is, or just drop that in the comments and let me know if you want a video on what that is. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. I have my own thoughts and pros and cons on that, so I could actually create a video on that. But for those people who are praisers of security champions, I want you to drop down in the comments below. And this is just for me personally. What has security champions like actually worked out in your organization? Has it been helpful? Did you see any positives from the security champions that actually lasted for a couple of days? Okay. For a couple of weeks? Okay. Months and years, like through the quarters, and somebody's been a security champion for a while? Let me know if you've actually received some positive from that, because security champions have been around for, I feel like, at least 5 years. And I have not seen a positive from it yet. So I'm not stomping on those who've done it. I just want to know what it is, because as I said, developers are more so being encouraged to enter the cybersecurity space and become the application security engineer, once they have that information, like that's usually the next step some people have taken, but some people who are just invested, they're like, you know what, I could just go over to cybersecurity and you guys can teach me what I need to know, or just direct them to OWASP Top 10 and documentation for their respective language. But I digress because I will stay on that for a while, and I will go back to saying, speaking on the people who have no experience whatsoever. Let's say you don't have any experience whatsoever. What I said earlier about being able to know how to program and being able to, versus those who just know, like they're theoretically sound. Just to kind of put this out there are people out there who are better coaches than they are players. Meaning theoretically, they understand the language. They can read some documentations. They get the guides. But they're just not the ones who can solve problems while coding, or be able to, break down a problem into a solution and translate it into code. Like that's a completely different skill, but it doesn't stop people from being able to, help others. So, that being said, those coaches or the people who aren't the best or have no experience with coding, they could still have the capacity to understand how software and sites and applications should be set up and configured, because they've actually taken that time to read and immerse themselves in the documentation, allowing them to still have the skill set to be able to read and analyze. And to be honest, sometimes, because I haven't programmed, like me personally, I have never created a website. I've never created a web application, but I have created software, standalone software. So I have a background. However, I still need to get the network side, get the DevOps side down. Like there's a couple of the architecture, like there's a couple of things that I had to really get myself into understanding to be able to be the AppSec engineer that I am today. But I started from a programming background, if you will, and just purely did cybersecurity just with my knowledge and my master's. Back to the question, although it isn't necessary or it isn't a necessity, given the economy, and given how the cybersecurity space is starting to be ironed out, I would strongly encourage you all to at least understand and really grasp and comprehend a programming language. Even if you do not know how to program in said language, to be able to read through and understand the grammatics and all that. It's almost like, so I don't know. I feel like some people do that with spoken languages as well. Like they're not the best speakers, but they could write fluently. Like that's something that they can do. Or they're not the best writers, but they can speak fluently. They can hear it. They can, like that. There's always going to be that to me in this world. So given that, they're still able to, however, work on this language. That's the thing. You have to know about the language. If you know nothing about the programming language, then that's going to be hard. But at minimum, if you know how it's supposed to be configured and all that, I think that you're still a strong candidate, but it's just helpful to know how to program and know how to code. Now, on the flip side, like you may not create an app, you may not build software, etc. But you will definitely at some point in time have to script in cybersecurity. Matter of fact, I wouldn't put it past anybody who wasn't in tech who didn't have to write a script at some point in their time, whether it's to mess with the API or just to do a task that you didn't even care to do, like just to automate some minimal, some minute thing. It is 100% helpful and useful. And I would strongly suggest learning how to script at bare minimum. Go through the same process that I said as far as the program languages questions. Like, what languages should I know? Started step one. Like, what is it am I trying to accomplish? Scripting? Okay, cool. Now find all the languages that you can that make sense given your tool usage and all that, what would make sense to script with. You got Python, you got Bash, you got PowerShell. Like there's a lot of, you can script with a lot of with a few languages. So I'm a Python scripter. I love scripting in Python. It's the easiest thing for me to do. From there, once I identified the language that I wanted to use, then I started saying, okay, let me set up, let me do little things. So I would work with APIs, and I would take it a step further and start triggering stuff routinely. And I mean, the sky's the limit after that. So I don't program often, starting to get back into it. But I do have a couple of scripts I've written. I've actually saved that on my GitHub. The link to that account is in, or to that profile is in the description below. There you'll find small scripts I wrote in Python. Some of those kind of automate tasks. Others actually work with the API. I even have some scripts for G Sheets, because I wanted to trigger off some stuff. There's some things that repos, I think it's called automate something. Well, like I said, the descriptions, the link to has in the description below. But I'd add to those repos periodically as I get tasks. And you can basically pull those down, read through them, run them, see how they work. I tend to recycle a lot of the stuff that I've done on the job. There's nothing from my job on there. I like to script, and scripting is fun to me. So at bare minimum, I strongly suggest learning how to script. But yeah, you can go on that GitHub and see all the scripts, even the stuff that I just kind of randomly threw on there that I was working on, didn't finish, or some programs that I just wanted to run through. You can just check that out on my GitHub. So that's it. I hope I answered your question. The original question is, do I need to know how to program or how to code in order to be an AppSec engineer? On the slim side, I would say you don't necessarily have to know how to, or have to have hands-on, I think is a better question. Do I need to have hands-on experience coding in order to be an application security engineer? No. Do you need to know how programming languages work and how to some of their grammatics, some of their documentation, and then really immerse yourself into the code and know that language? Yes. In order to be an AppSec engineer, yes. Why? Because you're going to deal with source code. There's a strong possibility you're going to deal with source code review. And if you're doing all the above, you're going to work with a developer. If a developer comes up to you and say, how does this work? Even if you're not doing source code analysis, even if you were just doing a dynamic security assessment, you would still have to understand exactly what you were doing, be able to pinpoint it, and, go a step further. So if this was helpful, please drop a comment below and let me know if you have any additional questions that come from this video. If you decide you want to learn more about programming languages, again, check my video on the topic. That's also in the description and probably one of these videos below. So until next time, code safely. I'll talk to you then.